Please stand for the flag.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark.
Mr. Giovanaccio?
Here.
Mr. Jim?
Here.
Mrs. Wolford? Here. Mr. Sikora?
Here.
Mr. Baldneri?
Here.
Mr. Forish?
Here.
Mayor Griffin?
Present.
All present.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 12th, 2012 meeting?
Madam Mayor, I move the minutes of the November 12th, 2012 meeting be approved and accepted and be permitted to remain on the Secretary's desk where they will be available for reading and inspection to anyone.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I second that motion.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. May I have a motion for the approval of the fiscal department reports and paid bills for the month of November 2012, please?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Scapora, second.
I second, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Baldneri, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Citizens' requests and comments. Anybody wish to speak? Okay. All right, any committee reports? Board authority reports? Okay, department reports? Joe? John Brazil here?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, good.
Madam Mayor, members of council, let me get the microphone close. Okay, yeah, you don't have to hold it. The first item on the agenda for action is under the Public Works Department, and it is a resolution. I am told that the low bidder for a one-year residential waste and recycling and commercial waste disposal contract is Green Ridge Waste. Therefore, I will read a resolution. It is entitled Acceptance of Bid for Municipal Waste Disposal Contract. Now therefore be it resolved, Section 1, that the bid submitted by Green Ridge Waste in the amount of $678,587.52 for the collection, transportation, and disposal of municipal waste and recyclables, according to the bid specifications of the City of Latrobe at the unit prices set forth in said bid, for one 12-month cycle, said cycle to begin on the first day of January 2013 and to terminate on the 31st day of December 2013, being the same as hereby accepted. Section 2, that a contract entitled Municipal Waste Disposal Service Contract, which said contract shall be in the form and content as substantially set forth on Exhibit A attached here to. Moving along, being the same as hereby awarded to Green Ridge Waste for the collection, transportation, and disposal of municipal waste and recyclables, according to the specifications of the City of Latrobe, which bid specifications are incorporated in and made a part of this contract. Section 3, that the mayor, city manager, city secretary, and any other proper city officer, upon advice and consent of the office of the solicitor for the city, after review of the form and content of the final draft of the municipal waste disposal service contract being the same, are hereby authorized and directed to sign the above referred to contract, together with any other necessary documents required to carry into effect this resolution, and the municipal waste disposal service contract awarded herein. Resolved in council this date, the motion would be to adopt the resolution as read by the solicitor.
May I have a motion to adopt, please?
Madam Mayor, I so move.
Mr. Baldneri, second.
I second, Madam
Mr. Forish, any questions, discussion?
No, as I understand it, this is doing the thing that we've been doing, the same this coming year will be the same as what we've done in the past, in the last 5 years, is that correct? All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay, Barb?
This is resolution 2012-60. Mr. Skopora?
Yes.
Mr. Jim?
Yes.
Mr. Forish?
Yes.
Mr. Jim and Angela?
Yes.
Mr. Baldneri?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford?
Yes.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Vote is 7 yes.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor and members of council, the next item on the agenda is an ordinance which has been duly advertised. You will recall about 2 meetings ago, I was requested to prepare an ordinance to ban both skateboarding and smoking in the garage. And the reason for that was for the protection of the membrane, which is overlaid upon the floor. I looked at our code of ordinances, and we have already banned skateboarding. That's been banned many years ago, basically in the entire downtown parking area, in the garage, or I'm sorry, in the downtown area, in the parking garage, in all parking lots. So the ordinance that was advertised only prohibits smoking in the parking garage. That's the second part. And the ordinance reads as follows: prohibiting smoking outside of a vehicle and or the discarding of tobacco materials in the downtown parking garage. And whereas the city recently completed a multi-million-dollar renovation to the downtown parking garage, which included a layer of protective membrane covering the flooring of the various levels. Whereas the installation of the protective membrane was of significant cost to the city to extend the useful life of the renovated parking facility. Whereas smoldering cigarette, cigar, and other tobacco materials which are discarded to the floor will over time cause substantial damage to the membrane system, which will require early repair or replacement at a significant cost to the city. Whereas in order to protect the membrane system from premature damage or decay, and to further enhance the health, safety, and welfare of the users of the parking garage, City Council has determined that the most appropriate and effective method to cause the above to occur is to prohibit smoking outside of a vehicle and the discharge or discarding of smoking materials onto the floor of the parking garage. Now therefore be it resolved, Section 1. That Chapter 256 of the Code of Ordinances, Section 256-33, unlawful acts, be and the same is hereby amended to add new subsection C, which shall read as follows. C, any operator or occupant of any vehicle entering and or remaining in the downtown garage premises is hereby prohibited from smoking any form of tobacco product while outside their vehicle and standing or being seated on the floor area. Item 2, throwing, projecting, discharging, or discarding butts or other forms of tobacco residue from any smoking product, including but not limited to cigarettes and cigars. Section 2, that Section 256-59, Schedule 13, fines for illegal parking, being the same as hereby amended to add new subsection A4, which shall read as follows. $30 for each violation of Section 256-33, subsections C, small I, and double I, pertaining to unlawful smoking in the downtown parking garage. Section 3, that any and all other ordinances or resolutions inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Section 4, any and all other provisions of Chapter 256 of the Code of Ordinances not specifically amended or repealed herein shall remain in full force and effect. It's Section 5, that the within ordinance shall become effective on the date of publication of the post-enactment notice of passage of the same, enacted and ordained this 10th day of December 2012. The motion would be to enact the ordinance as read by the solicitor.
Have a motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I so move.
Mr. Baldneri, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Skopora, any questions, discussion?
Does this include chewing tobacco?
Any form.
Yeah, I think it said.
All right. But you can't spit in the garage if you're chewing tobacco. It's disgusting, I know.
In the garage.
You can smoke in your car in the garage, not a problem. But once you alight from the car, then no.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And this will be enforced by who?
Police. police, the meter maid, whoever enforces parking violations.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, Mark?
This is ordinance 2012-12. Mr. Jim. Mr. Jim.
I'm sorry.
What about? Yeah, we're voting.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Scapora.
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford.
Yes.
Mr. Giovanangelo.
Yes.
Mr. Baldnery.
Yes.
Mr. Forge.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
That is 7 yes.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of council, the next item on the agenda, again under Public Works, is a resolution which I will read as follows. Adoption of official sewage facilities plan revision. And whereas Section 5 of the Act of January 24, 1966, known as the Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act, and the rules and regulations of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection under Chapter 71, Title 25 of the PA Code, require municipality to adopt an official sewage facilities plan for sewage services adequate to prevent contamination of waters and or environmental health hazards with sewage waste, and to revise said plan whenever it's necessary to meet the sewage disposal needs of the municipality. Whereas Gibson Thomas Engineering Company has prepared an Act 537 update which provides for sewage facilities in portions of the city of Latrobe, whereas the alternative chosen, given the present growth projected in the city through 2025, provides justification for the proposed shared equalization facility between Youngstown Borough, Derry Township, and Unity Township. Upon submission of the required Part 2 water quality management permit, the plan will be implemented. Whereas the implementation schedule for the proposed Phase 1 is set forth in the ordinance, and whereas the implementation schedule for proposed Phase 2 is also set forth in the ordinance. Whereas the city finds that the facility plan described above conforms to applicable zoning, subdivision, and other municipal ordinances and plans, and to a comprehensive plan of pollution control, water quality management. Now therefore be resolved, Section 1, that the Council of the City of Latrobe hereby adopts and submits to the Department of Environmental Protection for its approval, as a revision to the official plan of the city, the above referenced facilities plan. Further, the city hereby assumes or assures the Department of the complete and timely implementation of said plan as required by law. Section 2, that the mayor, city manager, city secretary, city engineer, and or their designee be and are hereby authorized and directed to take any and all action, sign any and all documents necessary to carry into effect the within resolution and the revised sewage facilities plan described herein. Section 3, the within resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage. Resolved in council this date, the motion will be to adopt the resolution as read by the solicitor.
May I have a motion, please?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Jim, second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Giovanangelo. Any questions or discussion?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Make a motion. Thank you.
Angela.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion, we table this for future consideration.
What do we need, second?
Change the agenda then?
And table the motion.
It's a motion to table, it requires a second, and it is non-debatable.
I second the motion.
You have to go straight to a vote, it's not debatable. It's a motion.
Okay, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion to table has been defeated.
Can he vote? Oh, okay, yeah, you usually abstain. I'm just, sure, okay, yeah.
All right. Madam Mayor, the motion was to table, and Mrs. Wolford has questioned whether or not I, as the solicitor for the Latrobe Municipal Authority, should vote, and I'll ask the solicitor to make a decision, Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Jim, regardless of whether you vote or not, if you don't vote, then the vote is 3-3, it's still a tie, and the motion is defeated. So that regardless of whether you vote, if you abstain, you abstain. There are reasons why perhaps you should abstain, but if you do, it's still going to be a 3-3 tie.
No, it's not.
I thought the vote was 4-3 in favor.
It was 4-3
It
in favor.
kind of, Mr. Jim, it was 4-3.
No, it's 4-3.
And if he abstains, then the vote becomes 3-3, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, you're right, I see. Then it doesn't get taken.
On the motion to table, the motion to table becomes 3-3, and therefore does not pass.
All right, will you start my vote then and let the record show that I abstain?
We're back now to the original motion on the resolution. Mr. Jim, if I'm correct, you did make the motion on that one.
I did.
Okay, for the same reasons, I think my ruling would be that given that you are the solicitor for that authority, that you should perhaps abstain on this.
All right, I will abstain and ask if somebody else will make the motion.
I'll make a motion for the
Mr.
accepted plan.
Scapora. We need another second now?
So he's replacing this.
We have-
Yeah, he's replacing his motion.
We have a second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Scapora and a second by Mr. Jim Angelo. No. Motion to table failed. That's correct. Yeah, we're on the main motion.
So it's 3 yes, 4 no.
One is
If it failed, it was 3 yes to
And the
table,
motion?
4 no to table.
3-3.
It ended up being 3-3.
You abstain. Richard
He's
So
abstained.
he is abstaining.
He's
even
abstaining
from
on
the
both motions, that motion
Okay.
and this one.
Okay,
And because the vote ended up in a 3-3 vote, or a 3-3 tie failed.
okay.
So now we're back to the main motion. Mr. Jim is abstaining. So there are 6 people voting.
Okay.
Okay? And there can be discussion.
Any more we still allowed to discuss?
Mm-hmm.
Any discussions?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to point out that I think that the LMA plan and the Unity Township Municipal Authority plans are 2 horses of completely different colors. I don't know enough about sewage myself personally to make an informed decision with regard to this. There seems to be a battle between the municipal authorities. This internecine warfare doesn't sit well with me, and I think that we need to take a longer, harder look at these proposals. In the interest of regionalization, we seem to be moving away from that concept, and we're becoming more closed with regard to these plans. The one that LMA proposed, I didn't like it. It seemed to be a shortcut or a stopgap measure, the building of these holding tanks as they proposed. To me, that just doesn't sit right. I think they need to get together, work things out through DEP, and come up with a plan that's appropriate for both authorities and all the customers within the jurisdiction of the Latrobe Municipal Authority, the Unity Township Municipal Authority.
I'd just like to echo Mr. Baldneri's results. I know I wasn't at the meeting, but I did do some homework since I've been back and talked to quite a few people. I'm concerned too that we just have an unwillingness to work together, and I don't think that's in the best interest of anybody's customers. So I just think we need to look at it a little further and get a little bit more input, maybe from the DEP, to help facilitate some type of a compromise.
I'd just like to point out that during the meetings that we have had, the Unity Township Act 537 plan is far more economical for all customers and is $2 million cheaper than the plan that's been offered by
Do you mean the LMA?
LMA plan. I'm sorry, the LMA plan is far more economical than the UTMA plan per customer, and also $2 million cheaper, which again, we're going to be using state money to fund that. So the $2 million cheaper plan for that, for a storm event that occurs every now and then, to have the holding tanks, I think is the better idea than to spend the money to develop Unity Township's sewage plant at the cost of LNA's residents and customers.
I'm just concerned.
To go on what Mr. Square said on the $2 million plan, he is absolutely right on it. But you're also saying now you're not going to accept the proposed matter that was sent to us by Gibson Thomas, which is our engineering company, I believe.
It's the LMAs.
Right. But you're willing to say you don't take their recommendations to us, right?
No, I think, my concern, and I agree with what you said, Mike, I just am concerned what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna submit these two plans and we're gonna spend the extra money in court fighting over it. And unless the DEP comes out and says they like one plan or the other, or maybe they bring us back to the drawing board and we all have to come back with a different plan. I just don't understand why we can't work together. It would seem to me that we should be able to work together and find a plan that is suitable for everybody involved and not just, what's in it for me.
There is one common goal, not working together. We know what that is. Derrick Township or our neighbors on that side have already agreed to that plan. You're right. There is an unwillingness to work together, and I believe it's not from Derrick Township or LMA.
Madam Mayor, I feel compelled to make some comments. First of all, the Unity Township Municipal Authority plan, which the 537 plan was presented, and I don't think you were here, Rosie.
I wasn't.
You was not. You were not. Well, then you didn't get an opportunity to really to look at the plan. The plan that they presented, Unity, takes 3,000 present customers from the Latrobe Municipal Authority's customer base. That's 28.6% of the customers. That cost alone is approximately, using a formula, about $987,000 a year for the Latrobe Municipal Authority customers. That's the cost. Now the problem is that Unity wants to take our customers, but they don't care to live up to the clear intent of the service contract. They can build whatever they want as long as they don't take current customers. But when they take current customers, we have a legitimate, I would say, we can actually sue for that amount, and that is what's going to happen. The problem here is that Gibson Thomas has presented an adequate plan at a very reasonable rate, and the problem with Unity is they want to take our customers, but they don't want to pay us, and they don't want us to build anything that they need, that the region, that is the Latrobe Municipal Authority, doesn't need. They don't want to pay for that new construction that's needed, requested, or required. So that's where the problem lies. They don't want to pay. And we are going to be writing to the Department of Environmental Protection very shortly and frame the same argument, because the service contract it has been in effect since 1973. And I urge this council, although I won't vote, I urge the council, those are the facts, and all I wanted to do was lay them out. And if Unity wants us to build anything, we can do it, but they have to pay for it. Now, as Mr. Baldineri pointed out, I think at that meeting that which you did not attend, he said, they've pulled out of the recreation, they've pulled out of the library, and now they want to pull out of the service contract. And it not only affects us, it affects everybody that's in that contract. It affects Derrick Township. It affects the Borough of Youngstown. It affects the Derrick Township Municipal Authority. It even affects the 1,034 customers that they're going to allow to remain in the system. So it's going to be, they either have to come out and state unequivocally, yes, if we take customers, we're going to pay, and then they can have whatever plan they want. But until they do that, they're trying to take the customers, the Latrobe Municipal Authority, and the other municipal governments without paying for it. So
You don't think a compromise is possible? Is that
I
what
do
you're
not,
telling me?
I think as long as the compromise is this, if you want our customers, you pay for them.
Well, I appreciate all that you had to say and also what Mike had to say, so thanks.
With Richard, does DEP have a problem with our plan at all?
We don't know, do
Well, it won't get presented unless you pass tonight. That's the problem. And personally, I don't think that the Department of Environmental Protection is going to approve a plan which is going to take 3,000 residents' sewage and pump it uphill. That is probably the biggest environmental disaster I think that could occur. The natural gravity flow of sewage to our plant, which is uniquely and geographically located, is the best place to have the treatment. So that's.
With all due respect, Mr. Jim, Mr. Scapora, you did note that there was a $2 million difference in these plans. That represents a mere 8.5% of the total cost of these projects. And when it's broken down, the way UTMA presented their plan with the additional customers coming from the LMA, their cost, the increased cost to the customers would be approximately $6 a month. The LMA plan was approximately $4.25 a month. That's $1.75 a month difference. That's not a great difference between the two plans. I just don't understand. We're all in this together. Why we can't get together and come up with a plan that is appropriate for both authorities. Their plans were so different from each other that it was almost mind-boggling that they could come up with these two different solutions. One seemed to be silly and the other was sillier.
Did you check?
Pardon me?
Did you check the math?
Did I check what?
The math.
The math on with regard to what? The money?
Mr. Jim gave it.
Yeah, I did check the math,
And
I'm telling you what I came up
That's
with.
only $6 because it's
The
not. the way-
raise in the rates with the UTMA capturing 3,000 of our customers would overall the increase was $6.05 a month.
That, Mr. Baldwin, that doesn't take into account the other $897 or $900,000 a year that Unity would have to pay to the Latrobe Municipal Authority. It does not take that in. So,
Why doesn't it?
well, they just assume that they can come in and grab 3,000 customers and not have to pay anything. They want to buy, in my opinion, it will be a violation and a breach of the agreement.
No, but regardless of whether or not they pay anything, the bottom line, their figures as they presented it was $6.05 increase in sewage per month per customer throughout the authority. The LMA
Which authority?
proposal was
Which
through
authority?
the authority.
What authority?
The grand authority, whatever you want to call it, the LMA, UTMA, the DMA, the YMCA.
Aren't you the YMCA?
No, overall, the cost per customer was $6.05 if you went with the UTMA plan. With the LMA plan, it was $4.25.
All right, Richard, did you?
Just one more comment, Madam Mayor. Currently, the Latrobe Municipal Authority customers, the residents of the city, pay for wastewater services approximately $11.50 a month. Those same residents, if they use the Latrobe Municipal Authority wastewater service and happen to live in Unity Township, they pay $50.50 a month, even though we only charge Unity the $11.50. So the LMA is working efficiently, and that's all I can say is we could build whatever they want, but they want to get all these customers, and personally it doesn't make sense to me, and they don't want to pay for them.
Alex, I just wanted to ask Alex if he has had any chance to look at this or has any opinion.
In defense of supporting the LMA, I mean, you would basically be allowing it, if you will, to go to DEP to see how it arbitrates there. In defense of tabling the motion, it sends a signal, at least maybe to get the DEP involved earlier. Unity Township has acted in a sense unilaterally by supporting the UTMA, which kind of puts all of us into an awkward position. But I think if we were to table it, it would be saying not necessarily that you support UTMA, nor necessarily that you're opposed to the LMA, but that you want, more or less the solution to be mediated now by going to the LMA, which is, again, not a bad idea. You basically allow the DEP to be in charge of it, at which time, depending on how that works out, you may end up in court, which nobody wins. And this is what frustrates me, and I think each of you share this frustration. It's like dueling engineers. Let's face it, whoever wins it, the engineering firm gets a nice contract to design a nice facility. And then in this case, if it goes to the court, then the attorneys win as well. And the people who don't win are the ratepayers. And who don't win are the people of our community. So that's why it isn't harming things in a sense to table it. It just is trying to say we're thinking, a little differently.
I think he makes a very good point. I
We
know.
already failed that table.
Right, but I also think Alex makes a good point that I'm going to clarify. I'm not saying I'm for the UTMA plan and against the LMA plan. I'm not saying that. No, I didn't say that. What I said is I'd like the two groups to work together so we can find a plan. I think exactly what Alex is saying because I don't want to end up in court and be spending money in court fighting over this.
They've been working on this since February.
Yeah, how long have you been working on this?
Unfortunately, they've been working on it even longer than that. Last 2011 is when they started to work on it. And again, this is a frustrating thing. How many times have they reported to council the update in progress? Both times we basically asked them. This last time it was with, here's our plan, accept it. There was very little dialogue about the way this could work. Now, I'm not suggesting the DP will mediate, but it just is frustrating that it just seems to be a bit of a dueling engineers right now. And in a sense, there's a lot at stake for them, not necessarily at stake what's best for us.
The information was in those plans presented to us and available to us and also presented to us in March by LMA here in detail. But the legacy costs that go along with as Mr. Jim said, pumping the sewage uphill, that's a continuous operation daily for electricity, diesel power for backups and everything. There's a lot of continuous operation legacy costs daily to that plan that weren't documented, to a holding tank plan that when you need to use the holding tank twice a year for that, the legacy costs are a lot less.
And to be clear, the holding tank is a very generally accepted practice among engineering. It's been done nationwide and even within this county. Again, as you have mentioned, it only would be utilized on wet weather events exceeding a certain storm threshold, which may end up being about once or twice a year.
And it's $2 million cheaper.
And it's,
DEP is not fond of running force mains constantly. They are not. They never have been and they never will be. A force main is what is force pumping uphill. The DEP is not fond of them and they never have been and they never will be.
and to be fair, the LMA plan has it does.
They're not going to improve it.
I agree with you. But both of them have forced mains. The
One has
LMA
to run
plan
every
has
day.
a forced main on it. I'm not sure if it's continue or on the overflow vents to the holding tanks, because the line between where the clover leaf is, if you will, down to where the holding tanks would be, isn't big enough. That would have to be entirely replaced. And so even LMA deals with it. It certainly is not as ambitious as coming out of the
That's an intermittent
monastery
force
run.
main. That's not a force main that's running 24/7.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
365.
All right,
Madam Mayor, with all due respect, once again, I preface my remarks by saying I'm in no way an expert on this. However, and nobody on this council has been more outraged by the actions of the Unity Township supervisors than me. I'm not in favor of one plan over another. As Rosie said, I would like to see the best plan come out through compromise and everybody working,
Two professionals.
working together.
They already approved their plan. They're not looking at it.
Madam Mayor, let me say this, that, and I don't think you understand it, but the Latrobe Municipal Authority has to prepare, just a moment please. The Latrobe Municipal Authority has to prepare an Act 537 plan. And because Unity Township already has some sewage treatment facilities, they have to prepare an Act 537 plan. So there's always going to be two plans, period.
But Richard, to your point, UTMA wasn't trying to solve the entire region's issue. I mean, whereas the LMA is charged with, within the service boundary, preparing the 537 plan that includes Derry, Youngstown, our community, and Unity Township.
That is correct, and they believe they have so formed a plan.
No. Well, Mr. Jim has had an awful lot of experience in dealing with all this, and I really appreciate all his knowledge he brings to the floor for this. There's nobody, any other questions? I think it's time to vote.
What if, before we vote, what if DEP approves both? They can't?
They will not. I'll tell you what they will do. They probably will approve the LMA plan and not the Unity Township plan. That is my prediction.
Do they take these both under consideration simultaneously?
Yes.
That's the process.
So either way, we end up with DEP making the decision whether we table it and get them involved in the front end, or we approve it and get them involved on the back.
Okay, but I called for a vote.
Well,
Madam Mayor, this discussion is
You
continued.
had plenty of time to talk.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
we can discuss this ad infinitum.
No, you can't.
You hope we can. We can. This issue is before the council. Before we vote, we can discuss this as long as we need to.
Taking everything.
Pardon me?
Go ahead, you're just bringing up the same thing. We'll talk.
Just to answer the question, that is correct, Mrs. Wolford. It would be, in essence, the DEP's decision. And to Richard Jim's point, they're going to give deference to the LMA plan.
okay, now,
This is resolution 2012-61. Mr. Forish.
We're voting on approving the plan?
Resolution,
Yes.
Resolution.
We're voting on our original resolution?
Original resolution, which was read as approving the plan.
Right.
Yes.
Mr. Baldoneri.
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford.
yes,
Mr. Spapora.
Yes.
Mr. Jim abstain.
I do.
Mr. Giovanangelo.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Vote is 6 yes, 1 abstain. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, thank you, and I want to thank Mr. Baldoneri and also Rosie Wolford for vetting the issues. Honestly, you did a good job of presenting.
You're welcome, Mr. Jim.
I can't apologize. Until Rose.
Apology accepted.
you don't need an apology, but thank you.
I said thank you.
You know what, I may even not have comments on his budget that he's going to present for 2013 now.
Madam Mayor and members of council, we are now on the item approving 2013 budget ordinance. The ordinance reads as follows: adoption of budget for fiscal year 2013. Now therefore be it enacted and ordained. Section 1. The budget in final form is presented to this meeting for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2013, showing total receipts of $5,030,505. Total expenditures of $5,030,505 being and is hereby approved as the fiscal year 2013 budget for the city of Latrobe. Section 2. Any capital expenditure involving cooperative purchase and/or professional services must be presented to council for approval. Section 3. Secretary of the city of Latrobe being is hereby authorized certified copies of the budget adopted hereby with all appropriate offices of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and any federal agency required by any applicable statute or regulation. Section 4, within ordinance shall take effect on the date of publication of the post enactment notice and passage of the same. Enacted and ordained this date. The motion would be to enact the ordinance as read by the solicitor.
May I have a motion, please? May I have a motion?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Baldner, second.
I'll second.
Mr. Scapora, any questions? I just want to, I appreciate all the work that Alex did in getting this budget prepared, and I know Clark helped him out, and Mr. Baldner, he helped a lot with that, so I thank you. I didn't do much, but so just thanks anyhow.
Madam Mayor, I had some questions I'd like to ask. I understand that Mr. Baldner is a committee of one, did aid Alex in preparing the budget. The one question I would like to ask is concerning the transfer from the general fund. I believe there's a transfer of $98,962.56. What does that mean when you say you're transferring it from a fund into this budget? Is that what you're doing in order to balance the budget? I mean, so that the revenues equal the expenditures? What is the transfer? Where does the money come from?
That is in essence correct. We begin the year with a general fund balance. This year, entering into January 2013, that general fund balance will be about $550,000. At the end of the year, if everything goes to the penny according to the budget, expenditures will exceed revenue by $103,257, or 2.05% of the total. However, as noted in the budget report submitted on November 29th, the revenue projections submitted to council are pretty modest. For example, on the earned income tax, the number that's in the budget is $700,000. To date, we've collected $745,000. The garbage contract you just proved, you saved about $26,000. In other words, the garbage contract that was approved was $678,581.52, and we budgeted $705,000. So those are just a couple examples of how we think it will balance in the end. It's typical you have this kind of thing in a budget that's close, and again, about 2% is pretty close. And what we would anticipate, there wouldn't be any, if you will, inter-fund transfer. And in essence, that's what it is. It's just basically reducing your general fund balance because the expenditures exceeded the revenue.
I understand that. So we are actually, you're balancing the 2013 budget with surplus from 2012.
Yeah, correct.
Is that correct? What scares me, Alex, is I read in a paper that we are near bankruptcy, but I think the way it was stated in the newspaper, you said, but we're not quite as bankrupt as Harrisburg or some of the other cities. How can you be just about a little bit bankrupt? I mean, that's what I don't understand. What's going on here?
If the paper's reported that we're bankrupt, that's incorrect. Our pension balances are very healthy. We have good pension ratios. We have, for the last 2 years, including this year we just concluded, had a surplus. Those surpluses totaled over $400,000. The previous 4 years, we did run deficit budgets where we spent more than we took in, despite the fact of raising taxes twice, including on the earned income and on the real estate, and increasing fees in other areas. There should be a concern on this council, as well as other representatives of local governments, of boroughs and cities in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. For indeed, you are an endangered species, if you will. And what that means is you're going to struggle into the future. We're not near where Harrisburg is, which is in Act 47, nor Reading, nor Scranton, nor Pittsburgh, or Faro, or Aliquippa, or Johnstown, and Clairton, and I can go on and on. But we're about 10 or so years behind them. And if we don't, in the next 5 to 10 years, structurally address the trends of this community, we will be Act 47, which is the state's law, legislation related to bankruptcy for local governments. And so we must behave differently, do differently. So what I've proposed for 2013 is to keep fees and taxes, both on the real estate and earned income, the same. But in 2013, we're going to have to be really serious about addressing revenue. And the way we're going to do that is look at trying to increase our margins at the transfer station. The solution of how that occurs hasn't been yet determined, and that's what we'll be doing over the next year. But as you can see, your revenue is about 34% from a transfer station. That's more revenue than we get from the real estate taxes and more than we collect from the Act 511 taxes, including the earned income and realty transfer tax, local service tax, and per capita tax. So next year, as a group, first quarter, second quarter, we're going to have to make some critical structural trajectory changes, where in 10 years or so, we'll be like Clairton and some of these other communities, having to ask the state for help. We are a proactive community. In fact, we're the first community in the Commonwealth to have looked at doing an early intervention plan and not being in critical condition financially, like Jeanette and so many of our other neighbors are. As you read the paper, maybe even Arnold is trying to figure out how to make payroll by the end of the year. We're not near that. But 10 years doesn't take a long time. I think some of you have been on council for even longer periods than that. So
I think, Alex, in the 10 years that I've been on council, I think we've balanced the budget at least 7 of those years using the using our surplus.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, in a sense, you pass balanced budgets because that's the rule that it requires, but 4 of the years we've had to dip into the general fund balance because the expenditures exceeded revenue.
I guess that answered the question, although as I read it in a newspaper, I thought it was you that said something about us being headed toward bankruptcy.
I'm very concerned, Mr. Jim.
What would be some of the steps that you might take to prevent that?
Well, it begins with the transfer station. We have an opportunity with the transfer station to, again, increase its net revenue margins. Call it a profit. And that's going to take a concerted, long-term vision. We got great staff here, and I think we can do it, and I think that's the #1 priority. The second priority is payment in lieu of taxes. Currently, this community leaves hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table as it relates to, I would call them quasi-for-profit nonprofits. And the hospital would be one of them. Altoona Hospital, UPMC, a number of hospitals around the Commonwealth make voluntary payments in lieu of taxes. Excella Health does not. I would pursue that very strongly in 2013. The third, if you will, leg of the stool to addressing our long-term trajectory would be relative to fees and charges that we pass. For example, our planning and development office has a number of fees that they do not charge for people who require our services. And we're allowed within the law that if someone asks us for a service, to be compensated for that service so that the other taxpayers of the community don't have to pick up that. So those are 3 areas: the transfer station, payment in lieu of taxes, and addressing the fee-fine structure within the community to enhance revenues in the long term.
Madam Mayor, I can verify a statement. I know that we give out lien letters. They're probably about 30% of what other communities charge for a lien letter.
That's
or
a good example.
No violation
Yeah.
letter, things like that. But I have to remind the council that we did increase fees, parking fees. So it's not entirely true that we didn't increase any fees. We did increase the parking fees.
This past year, correct?
Pardon?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay. Oh.
Just on the passes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I had a minuscule role in preparing this budget, and however, I would like to thank Alex and Barbara Buck for the work that they did. This is my 7th year on council, and I've served on the budget, and this was, Alex is by far and away comes in better prepared. He's ready at bat. I mean, when he steps into that batter box, he was ready to hit the ball. And the work that he's done with the help of Barb has been startling. And I just want to thank those two for putting forth a budget that we can live with.
To be fair, it was a team effort. Chief Brazili, Chief Bumar, Joe Bush, Ann Powell, Madeline Smith, of course Bart Buck, a number of others. Every staff member of the City of Latrobe, Police and Public Works has received a copy of the budget, provides comment and feedback up towards department heads and myself as well. And I can tell you, this is a lean budget. There is not a lot of fat. If you notice, my 3 areas were all on the revenue side. You can't cut much into this community anymore without getting to the bone and marrow. This is a lean budget. And I give that to the credit of the past administration under Richard Sattler and the past councils who have made hard decisions. You were the ones who, in effect, did lay off staff and made some hard choices. So the fat has been removed. This is not a local government that's got much to cut. It has to, therefore, into the long term, address revenue. And back to Richard Jim point, that's why I feel very serious about what we've got to do and not call it what it's not. We need to be really double our efforts to get at it next year on those 3 areas. The transfer station, payment in lieu of taxes, and the revenue fee structure we have here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussions? Okay, Barb?
This is ordinance 2012-13. Mrs. Wolford?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanangelo? I'm sorry?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Forish?
Yes.
Mr. Scapora?
Yes.
Mr. Baldneri?
Yes.
Mr. Jim?
Yes.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
There is 7 yes.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Mr. Kelly.
Oh, yes.
Can you give us the bridge division?
I certainly can. The next item on our agenda is something that we've done for years, so I don't feel a great need to go through the entire ordinance. But it is an ordinance authorizing a line of credit from Commercial Bank and Trust of PA in an amount not to exceed $200,000, establishing a maturity date for the revolving line of credit note of December 31, 2013, authorizing officers to draw down on the line of credit and to sign and issue the note, and to make payments as required by the revolving line of credit note. As I indicated, it's a $200,000 line of credit. We've never borrowed from it. It's a rainy day fund. The interest rate, if we would borrow from it, would be 60% of prime, which has been the interest rate in prior ordinances. The motion would be to enact the ordinance as highlighted by your solicitor.
Thank you. And we have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Giovanangelo, second.
I second, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Forrest, any questions or discussion? No? Okay, Barb?
This is ordinance 2012-14. Mr. Giovanangelo?
Yes.
Mr. Forish?
Yes.
Mr. Jim?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford?
Yes.
Mr. Baldneri?
Yes.
Mr. Scapora?
Yes.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
That is 7 yes.
Thank you.
The last item under the Administration and Finance Department is a resolution. You will recall at our previous meeting by vote, we agreed to amend our fine structure for the parking system. It's being done now by resolution and will be then brought in by ordinance in about a month or so when we capture all of the 256 changes by ordinance. The resolution reads amending Chapter 256 of the Code of Ordinances of Latrobe Vehicles and Traffic, Section 25659, Schedule 13 fines for illegal parking. The Section 25659 has basically been amended to add 3 items. The first one is for each separate illegal parking violation if paid by 4:00 p.m. on the first business day following the date of issuance of the ticket, $5. For each separate illegal parking violation if paid after 4 p.m. on the first business day after the issuance of the ticket or citation, but before 4:00 p.m. on the third business day, $10. For each separate illegal parking violation if paid after 4 p.m. on the third business day from the date of issuance, $30. Those were the changes that were voted upon by council at the last meeting. The motion would be to adopt the resolution as outlined by the solicitor.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. Scapora, second, please.
I'll second, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Forsh. Any questions or discussion? Jim?
Ready?
I thought Mr. Jim wanted to talk.
Is this the best we can do?
Yes, Richard, we're done talking about parking.
I hope so. We can't change it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. I could tell he wanted to say something.
It's all you're getting out of me, Richard.
Okay, I guess that's it then.
Ready?
Okay, Mark.
This is resolution 2012-62. Mr. Baldneri.
Yes.
Mr. Jim.
Yes.
Mr. Scapora.
Yes.
Mrs. Wolford.
Yes.
Mr. Forge.
Yes.
Mr. Jimenangelo.
Yes.
Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
That is 7 yes.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, you're going to move on to unfinished business. This is the last item for action. While you're doing that, I'm going to hand out to council. This is a schedule of the meeting dates for next year for both the agenda and the business session. I would just call your attention. You already have it?
Yeah, it's on our agenda.
Oh, wonderful. The only question then I would have on the business meeting, the regular meeting, I did move November's meeting to Tuesday because it would be Veterans Day. Does that cause anybody any problems, or do you want to do it differently?
I prefer Tuesday.
And then on the agenda session, in May, there is one scheduled for Tuesday, May 28th, and again, that's because of Memorial Day being on a Monday.
Those are fine.
Okay.
I'm okay with both.
I don't think there are any other deviations then from our normal. So I'll go ahead and advertise these for next year. Thank you.
What are we doing for this month's agenda session? What's the date?
It's been, because of Christmas being on Tuesday, it was moved to Thursday,
Number 27th.
27th. Mm-hmm.
Thursday.
Thank you.
Is anybody gonna be here?
Why don't we cancel?
It's an agenda.
That's when you'll bring me my gift, won't it, Richard?
Do you know what it is?
Or nobody could show up.
Everybody that voted for the LMA plan will have free water for a month.
We're really Unity Township.
Finished business?
Madam Mayor, I have two items I'd like to the first is that the first floor of the parking garage, some of the people that have businesses off the plaza have requested that there be more parking meters on that first floor and not all reserved. Secondly, in reference to the garage, I noticed that we have, I think, 5 handicap spaces. I wonder if the 5 are necessary, if in fact the garage is only taking in 100 a day. 10, there's 10 spaces. So 10, I just would like somebody to look at that. And the third item is a house on Ligonier Street out near James. And I don't think there's a front porch on it, but there is a front door. And I don't know what if anything we can do about things like that. It presents a dangerous condition, of course. So that's yeah. It's on the east side, and I think that we had them tear down the porch, and but there's no porch there, and there's a door. You know where it is, Joe, or Ann? Yeah, they know. So somebody registered a complaint with me about it.
I had someone register a complaint with me, and stuff, you may know more about this because he said he talked to you too. Something about a truck over by Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, over by Dunkin' Donuts. It's sitting there if you go past, just before number 6, make a right up on that little street to get into the Dunkin' Donuts. There's a flatbed sitting there. I know there's been twice you guys have seen little kids in the morning and stuff coming out. It's a blind spot, and they're going for the bus, and one little kid almost done got hit twice.
Plus they keep get. Plus my understanding is it's causing trouble for other vehicles to get
Yeah,
past it.
it's
And are you
right
familiar
on
with
the
this
side.
road?
Yeah, it's in the alley.
Well, he's parked right on that main drag right there, and where you turn just before Dunkin' Donut, Linden?
I'll look at it tomorrow, yeah, I'll see.
That's that Mac flatbed, and I was gonna bring it up to you after the meeting, or Rose brought it up. I mean, it's, Dunkin' Donuts got two little spots to come in at, and he's sitting in between them, let alone they come off Lloyd Avenue. They have ones coming in, and he's sitting on Dunkin' Donuts side. And I went by and looked at it too. It's not a safe thing. You get the kids coming there, you catch the bus right there.
Yeah, if it's a hazard, then police can make them move it. Joe?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Jim, to address a couple of your questions, there are 10 spaces that are handicapped in there, but under law that we have to have that many in there, and you are correct, they are underutilized. Some of those spaces do not even have any coin in the meter when we collect them. There's approximately a third of them being used on a regular basis. But unfortunately, we must provide that many.
Yeah, I don't know. My question really was if the parking garage, that's 10 spaces for 300 parking spots is what I understand. There's some sort of ratio. And I just wonder if you're only in fact using 100 or 150, you know, do you have to have that many parking spaces?
We have to have 8 handicap spaces, 2 of which had to be a van accessible spot.
I know it is based on the number of spaces in the garage.
Yeah, not on how many are utilized, but how
No,
many
it's
is
based on the number.
Is it not supposed is that not supposed to be utilized on each floor once the
Well,
elevator's
yeah,
up
we
and
can do
working?
that, once the elevator.
So then we can spread them out again, right?
Yeah, we can put 2 on each floor,
Right.
actually. I leave the van accessible ones on the first level, but.
Right.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question for Mr. Bush and Alex, for you also. The progress of the transmission line across the city's property up there to the transfer station, is that done? Is it completed, the Unity Township, or?
We were scheduled to have a final site view today. It has been completed, however, we are, to put it this way, not satisfied with the restoration for the access road. We would have desired they at least gravel the area that they trenched and buried the line. By putting it back and seeding it, it's not compacted. If we had to today utilize that for emergency access, it would be troublesome. In addition, Joe has pointed out that there are some of the barriers that we need to have from people sneaking into the station to illegally dump off hours are less than acceptable. So those are issues we'll address with UTMA. The other third issue I would like to say is we are not at all satisfied with the manner in which it was installed. Our work schedule was interfered with. We had to work around them instead of them working around us. And despite assurances made at the public meeting to the contrary, we had to work around them instead of they working around us. And I give Joe and his staff a tremendous amount of credit for doing that professionally and getting the job done despite that.
Mr. Henry did assure us here that they would work with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
In this public forum, he assured us that they would work with us, and
Joe?
apparently they didn't.
He assured us, and I have to say, Mr. Scabora, that each time that I have called Mr. Henry with a problem, he come right out and try to address it. It just seems that there was a loss of communication. I know the very first day when they started going in front of our compact area, I went down and I asked, you know, you're blocking off our customers, and he said, you know, that they didn't know anything about working on it and off hours. So there was a lack of communication.
What size line did they put in?
That I'm not sure.
That was end of line, wasn't it, Joe?
Pardon me?
That was an end of line to that manhole, right? From beginning out, that'd be the end of line from that manhole?
Yeah.
Placed out front?
Yes.
Okay, so that's gonna be at least an 8-inch line.
Oh, it's bigger than that.
I said at least.
Yes.
It's either 8, 12, or 16-inch line. It has to be at the end of the line. And then always remember the phrase, Alex and Joe, it says in the fine print, it will be replaced as good as it was, if not better. It says right in the fine print.
Joe and I are planning at the final field view inspection to make note of those, and it's a concern of ours because if it's not compacted, what good is the emergency road if your car's stuck in it?
Any other unfinished business? Any new business? Anybody else? We'll wait till the end of the month. Alex?
My manager's report is written and stands before you. There's a number of things related to budget and other details related to the garage. We did interview some providers of equipment for parking pay systems, and there's some notes related to that as well. I would really appreciate it if you get an opportunity to review it. I'll be available for questions and or visits. Before I finish my report, I would like to recognize members of Troop 304, Boy Scout Troop of America. They're here tonight for both their citizenship in the community and the communications merit badge. I should recognize the fact that BSA 304, Troop 304, is valuable to this community, providing hundreds, if not thousands, of service hours, not only directly through Eagle projects, but other kinds of projects like collecting for the food bank, scouting for food, and a number of other projects that they're active in. Gentlemen, would you please stand and be recognized by council?
I noticed that they were here. It's really nice to have them. We don't often get too many younger people. Okay, anybody else? I think, all right, we have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Mr. Forge, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.